So yeah, the question being like, what are the benefits and how long does it take for the benefits to outweigh the cost of purchasing water on your own?
Well, here's an example of the benefits. First of all, rainwater is free. It doesn't cost anything. In the town I lived in Colorado, Rico, a water tap costs $10,000. That's just for the right to tap into the city system. $10,000. And then the cost of water was $35 a month. And you were limited to 3,000 gallons a month. So that's 100 gallons a day. Well, you do the math, and over 5 years, that's a lot of money. I figured that when I lived in my catchwater house, Erica's house, we saved almost $10,000 in water fees. So catching water makes good economic sense. It also makes good environmental sense because fresh water is scarce, especially in places like Colorado, the desert like Phoenix, Las Vegas, many areas. And so that's why, catching water makes good sense. It's free, it's available just about everywhere. And even in the desert, take Tucson, for example. Tucson still gets 11 inches of rain annually. And you may not think that's a lot of rain, but in fact, 11 inches of rain annually is enough to provide you with all the water you need to run a house, as long as your cistern is big and you're catching it when it falls.
All right. Well, Australia is considered the driest inhabited continent in the world. Are the benefits still evident in a climate like that, where you have a drought every single year, anywhere from 3 months to 6 months? Is it still worth the cost of making your house a catchwater house?
More so than ever, because water is so scarce. It's supply and demand. If there's not much of it available, it makes it really valuable, and that's the way water should be, and that's the way it is in Australia. But there's more to catching water than putting gutters on your house. If you're going to live in a catchwater house, the right way to do it is to design your home so that it is a low water use house. For instance, the house that Erica grew up in, we caught the water and the rainwater or the snowmelt that went into a cistern. We would then use that water to, let's say, wash dishes. Well, when that water drained out of the sink, it went into a planter inside the house, and we used that what was called gray water then, after it had been used for something other than a toilet, and we used it to grow herbs and fruit and vegetables in our planters. And those plants then in return made oxygen for us to breathe in the house. Then when the water ran through the greenhouse, the grips today would then capture that water after it's run through the planter, and it would suck that water out of a sump, a well, and it would take that water, which is clear and odorless, and it would take it back and flush the toilet with it. And because why use drinking water to flush your toilet? That makes no sense at all, right? It costs money to get water to drinking water standards. So then you flush the toilet with the same water, and then that water is discharged outside into other landscaped areas, and you're using it to irrigate your landscaping outside. So essentially, you're using the water 4 or 5 times before you finally give it back to the Earth's geologic side or hydrologic side. That's the way you should be using water. You should treat it like it's precious, because it is.
Is it a sustainable way to keep a country going? Like, could you make catchwater houses of a lasting solution to the crisis for water in Australia?
I believe you could. I mean, again, here's an interesting formula. 1 inch of rain hitting a roof area that's 1,000 square feet will give you 600 gallons of water. 1 inch of rain, 1,000 square feet of roof area, 600 gallons. Now, I don't know how much water Australia gets. Do you know?
Yes, we do. Annually, or throughout the month, it gets like 54 centimeters a year. Or not a year, a month. But depending on the month, they go through dry periods.
So, I mean, you could do the math. If you knew the annual rainfall for Australia, you could decide. You could say, okay, well, I'm going to be a family of 2. We want to use approximately, let's just keep the math simple, 10 gallons a day per person. That's 20 gallons a day, 600 gallons a month, 7,200 gallons a year. Knowing that, and knowing how much rainfall there is in your area, that will tell you how big of a roof area you would need to build in order to catch 7,200 gallons of water in a year to sustain you. That you wouldn't rely on anything other than rainfall to support your household.
Right.
Now, if everybody did that, you wouldn't need municipal water systems, you wouldn't need expensive treatment facilities, you wouldn't need $10,000 water tap fees, etc., etc.
Right. How much roughly does it cost to build a catchwater house?
Well, it depends on where you are and what
In
kind
Australia.
of house you
Or how much do you think an Australian catchwater house would cost to build?
Well, I think I can safely say that you can build a house that catches water for the same amount of money that you can build a house that doesn't catch water.
How much would it cost if your house had already been built and you want to go from like just a normal house to a catchwater one?
But you wanted to convert it to catch water.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Gage. If you were to take a conventional house and convert it to catch water, if it didn't have gutters, you'd have to put gutters on it. Gutters and downspouts, and then you would need a cistern. Gutters and downspouts may cost you, on a modest size house, say 2,000 feet, maybe you'd spend $2,000. A cistern, another $2,000. A bank of filters, maybe $1,200. $5,000 and you can convert a house to rainwater harvesting.
Is it worth it? Do the costs outweigh the benefits, or is it worth it?
I would not build a new house for my not catch water.
Can you say that again? The internet.
If I were to build a new house for myself, I would never build one that did not catch water. To me, it's essential.
Okay. Are we good?
Yeah, I think that's